Hey there, Titans. In this video, we'll be troubleshooting some of the common issues our customers are facing with configuring SSO with Salesforce as identity provider and community. All right, so let's start. So what we have here is just a simple form. The only thing it will do is push an account when we hit a submit. The only thing I've mapped is the account name. And what I want to do is configure SSO for this, and I want this form to work in a community. So we already pre-configured a connected app, everything is set up, and now I'm just gonna take you through some of the issues many of you are facing, and it's just really simple solutions, and we're just gonna go through of what can go wrong. All right, so given you configured the connected app correctly, we have a detailed article about this. Let me just pull this up. So I just really did a quick Google for form type in SSO Salesforce, and the first thing that comes up is how to use SSO, and with form type in Salesforce is IDP, and everything here tells you how step by step, and you have a video, and also you have a video for community. You just search form type in community SSO Salesforce, it should come up as well. So that's provided you've configured everything as it shows in the video and you're facing some issues. Let's go through this. So the first thing I'm going to do, again, when it comes to community, and I cannot stress this enough, is when you configure your SSO with community, you gotta go in incognito mode. You gotta log into Form Titan from the incognito, and you gotta log into the community as a community user. So for instance, if you have a community user, and I have one, I think, named Jack Rogers. Let me just go to the home here. Just gonna open the other one, and that's my contact. And you do not want to do login as whenever it loads. So login as a community user, and then go to the my account in Form Titan and configure the SSO. It is not something you want to do. It will break. You'll have problems with it. So the first thing you'd want to do to start this off smoothly is just log into Form Titan through incognito in a fresh screen or in a different browser. Sign into your let me see, my community. Let's see. Got my community URL. Here it is. And I'll log in. Wonderful. Now I'm just logging in as a community user with a username and a password. Now I'm going to log into my Form Titan account. That's the first step for success when it comes to community. Community and SSO. My account. And the reason for this is really simple, because when you do login as, basically what happens is you really have the admin session. Salesforce does some trickery and keeps the session as the community user, but technically what we get when we have the SAML call, we get the admin session, and therefore it doesn't work. So if you configure it for a community, it has to stay for a community. For admin users, it will not work, only for community users. If you configure it for standard users, then obviously your SSO login URL will be different. All right, so we have this opened up here. Let's head over to our connected app. And what I just did, so app manager, and I go to my connected app. This instance is Titan SSO. And let's click view. You can click manage directly. I just want to be familiar with the different screens here. And I hit manage, and pay attention, when you configure it for a community, you have a different login information for the SAML. All right, so we're going to grab the community. You can have multiple communities. It should be valid for that specific community. All right, so we'll head back. We'll do the login URL. Let me find my certificate. All right, and found it, and we're gonna hit test, and now let's see what will happen. And we have insufficient privileges. Let's see why. That's the first issue that I'll show you how to solve. All right, so when we hit manage and take a look at this, what you should have in the policies is admin approved users are pre-authorized, and that's great. This is what we've done. But the next thing we have to do, we have to approve the profiles. All right, so we gotta go, right now what we see here is a system administrator. We have to make sure that our community user profiles, whoever will be using the community to interact with that connected app, has to be given a permission. So, but for me, I know it's either Gold Partner User or Gold Partner User Clone. I don't remember which one is assigned to that user, but whoever is going to access that community, whatever profile will be accessing that community, has to have permission to access it. And now we see everything went through smoothly, and we're good to go. All right, so let's head to our form here. All right, so go to our troubleshooting form, and what we will do is head over to limits, and we'll configure the SSO. Configure. All right, another thing to notice once we're on this screen, you have to make sure that at least one of the parameters that we get from the SSO is mapped to your form, which means, for instance, you'll have a hidden here saying, and all the other videos we just show you that we're doing it. Apparently we don't explain that it's a mandatory thing to have. For example, we get from the SSO just by default as the user ID, username, and a few other parameters. Also, you can pass in the session ID as an extra parameter. You can add extra parameters to your SSO, to your connected app, and then you can map them as well. But at least one of them has to be mapped for the form for this to work. So we'll hit configure again, and then we will go to the user ID, and these are the parameters that we get from the SSO. You see the SF session comes in by custom. This is a custom attribute that we've added to the connected app. So I'm just going to map the user ID just for us not to have any problems. And right now I'm not going to say use Salesforce session or anything else. I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to leave it as it is, and we'll pick it up from there. If you're going to use the session, I'm going to show you a few other problems that occur. All right, so we have this set up. Everything seems fine. Let's put it on our community. So what I will do is I'm going to hit publish, and you can use LWC, you can use Visualforce, whatever it is, however you publish this. So I'm not going to tick anything here. I'm just going to grab the Visualforce as it is. I'm going to go here and go to Visualforce pages, and let me just create a new one real quick. We want it to be accessible by Lightning and Lightning communities, and we'll do Troubleshooting SSO, and let me just get rid of this. Let's do standard controller ST account. It doesn't really matter right now because we're not passing any parameters, and let's get rid of this because we're not passing a record, and we'll quick save this, and we're good to go. Now let's head over to our community builder. I'm going to throw in a Visualforce right here, if it will let me. Okay, there we go. Did that twice. Let's remove one. Let's put it over here so it'll be more sensible. Okay, wonderful. Let's do 500 pixels, and we're gonna do troubleshooting SSO. This is not really mandatory because we're in the home page. There is no record ID, and we can already see we have insufficient privileges. And the reason for this is that we are right now logged in as something. We're not the proper community user, so it's not going to work on your builder unless you logged in the same session, and in some instances it might show you in the builder itself. But technically, if you're an admin and you're logged in as, it will not work. You have to log in properly to the community for this to show. All right, so we're gonna head back to our community, to the homepage, and we see nothing. And the reason for this is very simple. Once you create, I don't remember if I published it or not, but in any we did publish it. And the reason for this that it's not working, because once you create a Visualforce page, you have to give it permissions. All right. So if I head back to the Visualforce pages, then you can add it from the profiles. You can add it from different places. For me, the fastest and easiest is from here. So I just created a Visualforce page. We have to enable the profile of the partner community user. I don't want to find that. I'm just going to give it to everyone. And once I save this thing, and I go back to the community and I refresh, we should see it here. We'll give it a second. I'm just going to log in and log out. Sometimes it takes a second for this to happen. All right, I'm just going to log in again. I've done nothing, just logged out, log in, and here it is. All right, wonderful. So we have this, and let's create an account. I'm just going to submit this guy. Let me take you to, let's go to my account, push settings, logs. We're just going to see the account. We can see an account was created. It's asking us to log in, so let's just copy the link, and we're going to go to the other screen, and we'll put it over here. Wonderful. Now what we will see is that the account was created via the integration user, which is connected to the Titan. You can see it here. I'm connected with Brave Fox, so you will see the created user is Brave Donkey, which is the name of that user. It was created by Brave Donkey. But what if, and many of you wants to use it that way, if a community user logged into SSO, I want that community user to be the one that created that account or updated the objects, whatever it gets, to enforce all the permissions that you have on that profile and all that fun stuff that we have. So what we have here, which is very simple, you just go back to your SSO, and then I'll show you a different set of problems that might come up. And we select use Salesforce session, and then we'll select our Salesforce session. And that's great. When you don't use community, everything is pretty straightforward. When you do use the community, then you need to tick the use Salesforce community for this to work. Now, this is just the first step. So I did save. Now let's see what will happen when sorry, wrong screen. I go back to my community. I'll refresh the screen. And I'll do this. I'll submit. Let's go back to the account settings. And now we see this beautiful error message saying account create, invalid grant, expired access, refresh token, expired access, refresh token. And the reason for this is because we did not indicate in the Visualforce page that we're working on right now, in Lightning Web Component, Titan Lightning Web Component is a different mechanism. You don't have to indicate anything in Visualforce. I'm just going to show this to you real quick, and then we'll see the Lightning Web Component as well. So what we want to do here is we want to go back to the embed, and we want to click community, and basically look what happens here. We have an extension called form builder _ community SSO controller. And now if you do something custom like Aura component, you gotta call this, you gotta invoke this before. If you're doing anything custom with embedding it and you want to use SSO and session, reach out for Titan support will help you out with it. Technically you have to invoke this guy over here for this session to go by. So the only thing I need to do here is go back to my Visualforce, and usually you will just copy and paste the whole thing. You don't need to meddle with it. It's faster for me just to add the extension to the existing Visualforce. So I'm just gonna head over here, add the extension, hit save, and Let's go back here and I'll close. And let's run this again. And let's go to our account settings and refresh. And again, I got this error. And why is this? We just added the form builder. We added our extension and everything should work. Now, the reason for this is you gotta head over to the document generation tab and hit save. You should always do that. If you use community and you use you want the community session, you want to use the community user session, gotta head over to the document generation tab in your account settings, and you should hit save. And you will see another thing here comes up, tells me your submission API should be enabled. So if I go back to my API and I see that the submissions are not enabled, that's another issue I had. And now you can see that I hit save, it will properly work. Before then, because my API submission wasn't enabled, many times your API won't be enabled at all. So you want to enable the API, you want to enable the API access, you need to enable the submission access for this to work. All right, so we hit the save, everything is fine. And what we will do is go back to our community, refresh it, and then it should work. All right, let's go back here, push setting logs, refresh, and we can see good creation of account. Let's copy the link and let's run this here. What we should see here that it was created by Jack Rogers, our community user. Now, many times you will try and push and you will get errors, but then there will be like, you need to read the error. You'll understand that many times you don't have permissions, that user, that profile don't have permissions to read some data and a bunch of other stuff. So because once you use the session, then our entire get and push runs under that user and under that Salesforce user permissions. So that's another thing to take into consideration. Another thing that many times happen, that you configured everything correctly, everything should work fine. The only problem is that, and I'll try and open this. I just went to the Salesforce, to the Chrome settings, and that could be in different browsers as well. And what I've done here, I just searched for cookies and I clicked block third cookie in incognito. And you can block third-party cookie everywhere. And what we will see here is an error. Okay, third-party cookies needs to be enabled to use Titan form, and it's a very clear error. But many times when you use LWC, this is not going to show up. So what you want to do is run to your browser, make sure the cookies that you allow cookies, and if I refresh this, it will run again. All right, let's take a look at let's remove this guy over here. Let's go back to the experience builder and I'll get rid of this. And let me put an LWC. Okay, so we have the Titan LWC component that comes with a Form Titan package for Salesforce. And what we want to do is just head over to our form. I'm going to publish this. Just grab the URL. And that should be it. Let's publish it. And again, you see you don't have any permissions, which is completely fine because you have to be logged in as the community user. So if I'll head back here, and waiting for it, you should see the form. All right, now ignore the size. You need to post form size changes, etc. Just for demonstration purposes. Now here it works. Everything is fine because we set up everything correctly. Let me show you what can go wrong with the LWC when you don't hit save, or sometimes it just doesn't do its job. So in rare cases, but that will help you as well. So basically what we want to do is, since LWC and we're using an iframe there, the Lightning Web component, there is an iframe there, you need to set up CSP in your Salesforce. So let's take a look. And again, when you just go to my account, document generation, and you hit save, it should set all this up for you. But I'm just manually gonna take it off so you understand how it will look like, just in the case that it will not work. And I'll get rid of this. This is my my domain, and I'll head back here and I'll refresh, and this is what I get. This content is blocked. Contact the site owner to fix the issue. And basically what you need to do is just add a CSP here. If you're doing it manually, just a new trusted site and add the form titan, your subdomain in form titan. In my instance, I'm just gonna head back to the account settings, hit save, and if I'll refresh here, I'll see that it added it for me. All right, so it's back here. Now, interesting thing is, if I'll go back here and refresh, I'll still see the same problem. For some reason, either it takes like a few minutes to take, or you just log in and log out. You just log out and log back in, and that should work. Still not. It takes a few minutes to update for the CSP, so we just have to wait for it and it will work. So once you set up the CSP, everything should be fine. So that's an issue only for Lightning Web Components. All right, another thing to, obviously it goes without saying, to review your the way you set up your SSO. Make sure you didn't make any mistakes. If you're using community, use the community URL. If you're using a standard, if your SSO user, standard users, use the organization URL, not the community. Make sure you use the main community. If you're passing a session, make sure you pass in the custom attributes. If you're using Visualforce, make sure you're giving the Visualforce permissions, and you're calling the form titan extension for the SSO, for the community SSO. Yeah, and make sure your access URL is correct and everything else is set up according to the how to use SSO, and you have also how to use SSO with communities as well. And this is how it's done.